Okay, let's settle this business of being vetted, being unvetted once and for all. Because there's two conflicting stories being put forward in Ireland. One from Garda Síochána and the Irish government telling us and assuring us that everybody coming into Ireland has been vetted. We know who they are, nobody's entering illegally. And then on the other side, we have a string of reports that are coming through almost on a daily basis, if not on a daily basis, that suggests otherwise. So, what's true and what's not? Let's put this issue to bed and to rest for once and for all with evidence that has been published and spoken through many sources over the last few months. Before we get into it, just want to say a quick word of thanks to everybody that's been watching these videos, liking these videos, sharing these videos, subscribe to the channel. Massive appreciation to all of you. And thanks to those who have joined the channel to support it just that little bit extra. There will be another feature coming for channel members over the next few days, whereby you'll be able to submit questions for a Q&A that I will make a video for once a week, probably on a Wednesday, and publish it for channel members only concerning any content that I may have produced, any other stories that may not have been covered, and any general questions that I have about what's going on. So that will be a feature that I will introduce over the next few days for people that join the channel as channel members. So please check that one out. But let's get into this. Let's provide some evidence and let's see what's real and what's not real and who's doing what when it comes to telling us who's vetted and unvetted. So let's start at the beginning here. Monday, the 30th of December, 2024. Headline quote here, published in RTE. All sources will be provided here. Love them or hate them. I'm just saying what they have said. Because remember, people that are allegedly on the far right are disinformation purveyors, and we lie and we twist and we get things wrong. So, no such thing as an unvetted migrant to Ireland. And here we have Detective Chief Superintendent Aidan Minnock saying that everyone coming to Ireland seeking international protection is fingerprinted and identified. That's coming from a Detective Chief Superintendent himself. The head of the Garda National Immigration Bureau has said that there is no such thing as an unvetted migrant to this country, Ireland, and that everyone coming to Ireland seeking international protection is fingerprinted and identified. That's what he's telling us. Minnock rejected claims, most notably by the far right, that asylum seekers are criminals who pose a threat to public safety. He said the vast majority are economic migrants seeking a better life, and that the few who have criminal records are detained before being removed from the country. However, he also said that Albanian, Romanian, and Chinese organised crime groups involved in drug dealing, car theft, exploitation, and people smuggling are operating in Ireland. So, on one hand, we're told that everybody coming in is thoroughly vetted, checked, fingerprinted, identified, but Albanian, Romanian, and Chinese organised crime groups involved in drug smuggling, drug dealing, car theft, exploitation, and people smuggling are operating in Ireland. That's from his own mouth. That's from his own mouth. Significant increase in numbers seeking protection. There has been a significant increase in the numbers coming to Ireland to seek international protection, up from 13,000 in 2023 to more than 21,000 over the last year in 2024. And of course, these are the figures that are being published, maybe massaged a little bit by the relevant authorities before they're let loose in the public. So they're saying there's at least a bottom line figure of 21,000 there over the last year, which would have been 2024. Most, the Gardaí said, are economic migrants fleeing poverty and war, attracted here by security, stability, the climate, labour markets, and welfare systems. I would say put welfare systems to the front of the queue. Treasure Island is Ireland. Treasure Island. The red carpet is rolled out, the checkbooks are waved, and in they come. Incentivised to come because of the welfare system and the benefits and the housing and the food, healthcare, education, access to medical attention, and on it goes. However, the Gardaí have rejected claims circulated online and by the far right, at protests that these people are unvetted. Detective Chief Superintendent Minnock said that every asylum seeker is fingerprinted and identified, and if they have a criminal record, they can be deported, or will be deported. Covered a case earlier on today in a video that I published just this morning about a man that had a rape conviction in Sweden and also multiple convictions, including violent offences in Germany, Sweden, Romania, and Ireland, that slashed the homeless man in Dublin with a knife, causing him to lose the sight in one eye. He was a chronic alcoholic. He had worked from time to time, but for the last 6 years, he'd just been here. Criminal record, multiple countries, deported? No, he's been here for years. That's just one example. Let's move on. Falsified records. Children's Home Company admits using altered Garda vetting and fake background checks of staff. Altered Garda vetting, fake background checks of staff. Karen Akwobi, there she is, Karen Akwobi, also admitted failing to satisfy TUSLA that staff numbers, experience, and qualifications were adequate. Not just safety, but experience, qualifications were adequate. This is the organisation that's supposed to look out for vulnerable children and whatnot. A company that provided emergency accommodation for vulnerable children in care has pleaded guilty to using altered Garda staff vetting and fake background checks. Ideal Care Services Director Karen Akwobi also admitted failing to satisfy TUSLA, the state's child and family agency, that staff numbers, experience and qualifications were adequate at a care home in County Carlow. Criminal proceedings commenced last April against Ideal Care Services and Akwobi of Mount Garrett Rise, Tyrrellstown, D15. TUSLA brought the prosecution before Dublin District Council under the Child Care Regulations and the Child Care Act. Judge Anthony Halpin heard this was the first time a case had been brought under these laws. Just because it's the first time a case has been brought doesn't mean it's the first time it has happened. But this is what we know. This is what we're being told. Since then, the agency needed several adjournments to provide further disclosure. So, altered Garda vetting procedures leading to compromises potentially in the provision of childcare in an agency run by Karen Akwobi. You can see it yourself. This came out today. Published in the journal.ie, that bastion of journalism here in Ireland. Inspectors found 35% of staff in IPAS centres, International Protection Accommodation Services centres, weren't Garda vetted. 1 in 3 staff were not Garda vetted. The Garda vetting issue needs urgent attention, the report said, as a significant number of staff members had questionable status, but that can't be right. Because remember what Minnock said? He said that no one gets in without being fingerprinted and document checked and ID checked. But now we're being told that 35% of staff in IPAS centres weren't even Garda vetted. A new report has found that 35% of people working there were not Garda vetted. A little bit of repetition there. It was found that 37% of these centres didn't even have policies in place that would keep residents safe from harm and abuse. That's according to the Health Information and Qualities Authority 1 year overview report on the monitoring of accommodation centres, comprising 60 inspections across 51 centres. The Garda vetting issue needs urgent attention. Remember, 1 in 3, over more than 1 in 3, didn't even have vetting at all. The report said as inspectors questioned the status of significant numbers of staff members, huge numbers of staff. Vetting includes references from previous employers, Garda checks, international police checks were required. The report also found 61% of accommodation centres didn't have a system in place to assess the needs and vulnerability of residents, and 45% did not have mechanisms to monitor residents identified as having a special reception need. Holes in every area. Holes. Huge holes. It said many centres are in hotels, and the transition from a hospitality service to an IPAS accommodation provider has challenged many of them. This has led to subpar governance and oversight, but they're still functioning, they're still operational. So here we have an issue with IPAS centre workers, we have an issue with people that were working with children, we have an issue with people coming into the country with smuggling gangs, drug gangs, people trafficking gangs. And we have the Garda telling us that no one gets in without being vetted. Well, what about the guards themselves? Garda confirmed new recruits are undergoing an adjusted vetting process. So even to get into the Garda and Garda Síochána, the Guardians of the Peace, they don't even have a full nailed down watertight vetting process. So they say they're still vetting candidates as they're progressing through the training college, but they're undergoing adjusted vetting. Adjusted which way? Tighter or looser? It comes as Labour TD Alan Kelly questioned in the Dáil how potential new Gardaí can have access to all facilities, guns, armoury, and a lot of information when they have not had a full background check done on them. This is brought up by Labour TD asking why full vetting isn't even being done at the initial stages by the actual guards themselves. Gardaí have denied anyone entering the Garda College has not been through some sort of vetting process, just some sort, not the full sort, but some sort. However, they did state that new recruits are now subject to adjusted vetting. That's their own words, not mine. I'm not making this up. That's why I'm quoting these sources. That's their own words. Comes as Labour TD Alan Kelly questioned in the Dáil how potential new Gardaí can have access to all these facilities when they haven't had a full background check done. Deputy Kelly alleged under Dáil privilege that people started their training in Templemore without being vetted to make Garda recruitment figures appear higher than they were before last November's election. You know, there was a lot of fiddling of figures done before that election, massaging these Garda recruitment figures, lies about the amount of houses that should have been completed by the end of 2024, and on it goes. So, hopefully, this will provide some kind of context that when people are saying, but what about this person? What about that person? What about this organisation? There's the evidence. Ireland is not safe and secure. Ireland is wide open. And look at the amount of people that are being charged and committing crimes that shouldn't even be here in the first place, with criminal records in other jurisdictions, known criminal records that are now coming out in the wash. And if they're coming out in the wash for somebody like me, surely they should have came out in the wash when these people entered the country in the first place. So this is just a little overview on this subject of vetting unvetted people coming into Ireland. Leave your thoughts, comments, and opinions below. Share the video if you find it useful. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. And join the channel if you want to support it just that little teensy weensy extra bit more. But for now, I'm Rick Munn. No risk, no reward media. Over and out.